The magic of movie stars, mega movie stars, is something that you can rarely describe in words, but you can always experience. I am so privileged to experience this magic of two incredible, phenomenal forces of nature. Now, he is a legacy movie star, a global phenomenon, but at its heart, a bona fide artist, a terrific actor. She puts the act in actor and has wowed critics and audiences across the world, and literally with each performance, and since she walked the highway of Hindi cinema, has won so many hearts. I am privileged to introduce to you Alia Bhatt and Junior NTR in conversation with me. All right. Okay, wow. So we have...
Just 1 second, we will give a little backstory, because a minute ago you're like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to start this, I don't know what I'm going to say, and then now you've started. You've given a speech, right?
You don't know I'm a talk show host and this is what I do for a living.
I do, but you just didn't know what to say and suddenly
but
it came.
my thoughts run and then I say things.
It's too good.
That's absolutely...
That's difficult.
It's too good.
Yeah, but listen, I still don't have the talent that both of you have. First, let's just address that we have such deep commonality. But there's one part that I'm going to ask as a quick question, that there's one other aspect that we all have in common that we will chat about later. Firstly, RRR happened. And I still remember the moment when Alia signed that film, how happy I was that she was working with Rajamouli sir. Like, I was like, oh my God, like this is like the biggest moment ever. Then both of you collaborated on that film. I had the privilege of collaborating with you on Devara and presenting the film to the Hindi audience, which is so amazing because my journey started with Rajamouli sir, way back with Bahubali 1. I, of course, introduced Alia to the movies. So there is Rajamouli sir and there is Devara, there's Jigra coming up, and then there's me sitting right in the middle of it all. I really feel like there is such amazement. But there is one other commonality that you have with Alia. Do you know what that is? You know what that is?
No.
He will eternally be the student number 1 and you will always be student of the year.
That's true. Yeah,
That's
we
lovely.
discussed this.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember during RIR promotions also we discussed this.
So I just thought of
nice.
it. I just thought of it, and I was like, "Wow, there's something else that we have in common. We have the student factor in common." Tarak, thank you so much for being in conversation
My
with
pleasure,
us. Tell me, what did you feel like when you first met Alia on the sets of RRR? What was that experience?
Well, see, it was the first time I'm actually, this whole big crossover.
Yeah.
Ka jo bhoot chad gaya na sir hame.
Yeah.
It started there.
Yeah.
And I've always admired her work, and I've said it, and I'll say it again, that she's one of the finest actors we have, hands down. And I was telling her the moment I walked in, I was like, I don't know when I saw Jigra's trailer, was it the song, hearing the song, was I tearing up for that? Or was it just looking at Alia's performance? And the first few seconds, she could just take me away from where I am into the world of Jigra. And it's not very, it's not simple, it's not easy, for somebody to just take the audience away from, their preliminary source and take them into this beautiful world of acting.
Yeah.
It's I don't know, I've always said that you can never train somebody to act. It just comes. And I think she's one of those phenomenal actors we have, and the moment I saw her at the sets of RRR, so for me it was not Alia Bhatt from the North film industry, but for me it was one of my favorite actors I'm looking at, and I think we just started off from there, and I think we share a wonderful bond today. I can't imagine any other friend in Bombay other than Alia.
Wow.
And of course, after Alia came Ranbir.
Yeah.
So it was not Ranbir and me weren't friends. It was me and Alia first, and then Ranbir followed. Yeah. So, yeah. So it's amazing.
Wow, that's amazing. And Alia, I know that you must have heard so much about the mega movie stardom of Junior NTR, before you went on that set. And I remember that when you went on, we were like, when she was going to shoot for RRR, it was like, she's going, like, we have to give her a send-off. She's going into this amazing, magical world of SS Rajamouli. Yeah. And I was like, so what was your takeaway when you finally faced the camera? Because before I say, I've heard all about him and how he operates on set. So Ayan Mukherjee is directing, who has, I must say, has the privilege of directing him in War 2, has said he's like Speedy Gonzalez. He comes and makes it all happen.
Absolutely.
He's saying he just does it and it's all done and he's brilliant and it's done. It's over. And Ayan is a ponderer. He's a thinker. He's he just sits and everything. He's a lot of thought. So for him, you're the opposite of his energy. What was your experience when you performed with him in RRR?
So I think even before I had signed on to do RRR, when the announcement of RRR came, it was just the image of Rajamouli sir, Tarak and Ramcharan together. I think that was like there was an anticipation in general for everybody. Little did I know that I would be walking onto that set one day. And of course, like you rightfully mentioned, I'd heard so much, about the way Tarak is, his stardom. So I was naturally expecting to be severely intimidated. I was like, okay, I'm going to walk on set and I'm going to forget all my lines that I've been rehearsing for 1 year.
Yeah.
And my first day on shoot was that big scene where we meet for the first time and, where our characters don't know who each other are. And it was, so it was quite like the big scene to start with. But
it was pretty intense.
It was pretty intense. But contrary to what I had imagined, he was not intimidating at all. In fact, he was really helpful, very quiet. So I was quiet. In fact, I was so shocked of how quiet that set was. Karan, the shot started, cut. It was pin drop silence. And I was like, why isn't anybody screaming and shouting? Like, what's going on? No, but it was wonderful. And ever since that, like, we shot that scene for over a couple of days. And then through the days, we became more and more friendly, chatting off camera, talking about the process. I was, of course, very nervous, but Tarak made me very comfortable. And whenever I was even a little bit fumbling or not sure, he would just naturally correct me. And of course, when Ayan saying he's Speedy Gonzalez means like the energy is buzzing. But what I love about him as an actor is that he is so unpredictable. Like, even though I couldn't understand the language, when I see it in his eyes, what he's saying it's all happening from here. And like, Rajamouli sir would give him a beat and give him some, direction or something like that. You're like, yeah. Then you can see it's bursting out of him to give what the director has asked for.
Yeah.
So I would always, like in my close-ups, like in his close-ups and my OTS, I was only observing what he was doing and what was going to come after that, because it's such a big learning experience for me as well. And then really we got very friendly and we've had like
some great chats.
And we had such a good time during the motions.
Remember we all stepped out for dinner in Bombay. It felt so warm and wonderful that we had like a Devara, Brahmastra war kind of a coming together. And it was like we all had dinner at this restaurant that was seating only 12 and we were 12 of us. And it just felt like everyone knew each other from way back.
I'm going to tell you one story. Because this also happened, since we're here, because this is Devara ka Jigra, Devara into Jigra. This is some sort of crossover love that we're sharing with
I
each
really
other.
want to know, who announced the title first? Jigra or Devara?
Devara.
I think
Devara.
it was Devara.
Yeah.
Then came in Jigra.
Then came in Jigra. I think we put out the unit, Devara already had it.
But that's actually a nice coincidence, sir. When you have an R and R.
Yeah.
Devara, Jigra sounds like each other, and then we were also coming in the same window. Who would have imagined?
Exactly.
But I'm saying this love started with Tarak very graciously coming to the Brahmastra, sort of press meet.
Yes.
In Hyderabad. And there was, I remember I was fully pregnant at that time, and Tarak was like, yeah, we'll do the event, but then after that you all have to come to my house for dinner.
Yeah.
And we had such a warm evening on that terrace. I remember eating dinner and like chatting, and that was the first time that we actually discussed possible baby names in front of everybody. I remember Ranbir and I were like, if it's a girl, it'll be this. If it's a boy, it'll be this. And we were all like, raising our glass to like.
So was Raha the name discussed that night?
We discussed.
Yes,
we had names picked out.
And I started praying. I wish it was Raha.
I
wish it is Raha. And finally,
what a
finally
beautiful name. What a beautiful name. You know what I find absolutely intriguing about movie stars, specifically in the brand of cinema that you have done and across decades now, is that there is a kind of fine line between always projecting movie stardom and yet giving that performance. And I think you've done that effortlessly, always, that you've not only considered one of the biggest movie stars, but also an absolutely terrific actor. Now, do you have to kind of straddle that at times, that you know that you are also an artist, you're giving your all, your heart, your emotion to that scene, but there is a certain perception of how you have to be, a larger than life persona that has to always penetrate through celluloid. Is there always like that tussle within you, or is just in your DNA to just be the way you are, and then it comes out all effortlessly?
I think it's very natural, sir, for any actor. The moment you start calculating, your image versus your want.
Yeah.
I don't think they can ever gel together.
Yeah.
Because I've seen this multiple times in my career. So I've said this many a times that there was this point where this whole image, this whole want of fans and what they want, it was very strenuous for me as an actor. And then I just
can imagine.
Yeah, I just couldn't straight. I mean, like, think straight. So that's when, Abhay happened, my first child. And something about that experience of being a father has made me become naive all over again. And I think for an actor, what's the most important thing is that how do you become naive? How do you disown or unknow things? Because at that moment when you have to perform, I really think that you don't need to experience it.
Yeah.
Right? You haven't ever experienced it, but how do you deliver it? For that, I think there needs to be a lot of naiveness in an actor. And that comes only when you just take things off your brain.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was of course, I was struggling for Abhay to, look at me and call me, Papa, or call me Nana. So I wanted him to do that. So that urge in me somewhere just took this whole NTR ka image away from me. And I said, wow, this whole thing is just gone from my head. So I said, what if I try to incorporate it into my movies?
Right.
So that's when my journey started as an actor.
As an artist.
It's like, Kiyar, just for me, it gets very boring for some, if I have to just give this a reaction, which it's just useless, it's meaningless. So I started putting my foot down and, started communicating, saying that, no, I really don't think this will work. Then, we started discussing, and then the discussion started happening. So I opened up as an artist.
Right.
That made it easier for me to understand myself more as an actor.
As an actor.
So every time I felt that, यार घर से निकल रहा हूँ मैं, तो मुझे कुछ excitement factor चाहिए. क्योंकि already 2 exciting factors है, अभय और भार्गव. इनसे बड़ा exciting factor क्या हो सकता है? तो वो है मेरे movies. अगर वो excitement नहीं मिल रहा है, तो घर में बैठूंगा मैं. I'll sit at home. I don't need to work.
Always very well. Alia, taking from where Tarak just mentioned about, how things moved in his head after the birth of Abhay, has the birth of Raha and you being a mother, which is, I can't even imagine the experience. I mean, what anybody goes through, because having that energy, that maternal energy. Do you think yourself, and have you thought about this, has that somewhere impacted you as an artist when you're facing the camera today?
Oh yeah.
From when pre-Raha?
Most definitely. Most definitely. And I'm not just saying this because I'm promoting Jigra, genuinely. Swear with all my heart. When I signed Jigra, I think I was in my tigress mode. I was in my most protective, no one come near her mode.
I was about to say that.
Yeah,
when I saw that trailer.
That was the energy. And it was that's why I always say destiny, luck, life has so much to play in things going a certain way for you. Forget the fate of Jigra. The fact that it came to me also, I was like, wow, what is the timing of this? That I'm feeling this way, and it came. And it had all of those things laced over it. So for sure, I don't think I'm the same person. I don't want to be the same person. Life has so much more meaning. And I feel like actors can get really self-obsessed if they're always constantly thinking about themselves. Now, when there's another being in your life, suddenly it's like, oh, Alia who? Raha. And Alia's fine, comes in and out. But the focus is on her, and that feeling of nurturing and feeling of my mind always being there is something that will never change now.
And also the other thing is the pressure. He said that he abandoned that pressure because it became about if he's feeling the excitement, he's going to get onto that set. You're always touted as this best actor of our times in Hindi cinema. A lot of it is written, a lot of it is expressed, a lot of it sometimes is a burden to carry. Is it really? Is it when you go and face the camera, do you come with that baggage or are you able to shed it off?
No, I don't think I come with that baggage. I think definitely when the film is up for release, you get a bit of pressure. You get a bit of feeling because tab sab kuch blind
But
pe aa
that's
jata
more
hai
as a
na.
movie star and not as an artist.
No,
really.
then it's more like no report card aa jayega, you know.
Yeah.
But on set and going to set is all about the actor, like the acting process, being directed by a director, collaborating with the team, and I just feel very grateful to be in that moment every day.
Yeah.
You know, I love that process of collaborating, especially when, you know, especially with Vasan, I had a blast. He's such a wonderful human being.
Yeah.
So I think about that.
But we spoke about Vasan and I'm going to get back to him. But I want to speak about your collaboration. This is your second collaboration
With Shiva.
With Shiva. Janata Garage was a massive, massive hit. It was touted as one of your best performances. And then now you're back with Devara. And I've had, of course, we've all seen the trailer and it's magnificent.
You actually saw more than the trailers.
I've seen
You
more than the
witnessed-
trailer, but I'm
you've seen
trying not
more
to
than the trailer.
reveal any spoilers about anything here because I was okay. So now you've said it. I'm not saying it. So I went to Hyderabad. Anil and me, we went. Apurva, Anil and I went to Hyderabad. We saw about 30 to 45 minutes of the material, and I was like blown away because it's a totally different world. Like he's taken us into, and I won't say anything for people who haven't seen any material, but like I just want to say that world is new. It's totally new, where there are elements that are so impactful when you see it. And we'll take a beat and talk about how brilliant Saif is as well. But when I saw it, and every time he faces the camera as the character, as Devara, and there is a certain kind of like magic that just happens. But is that largely, and I felt like I've seen all your work, and I felt like, but with Shiva, there is something special. There's something that he taps into you that comes right out. Like, and I've seen that in Janata Garage, and I saw that again in Devara. What was your experience working with him?
So we've been friends for quite a long time. We've been friends for I think about 18, 17 years. So our journey started with a movie called Brindavanam. Shiva was predominantly the writer for many super hit movies in Telugu, in Telugu cinema. So we started as friends because he was the writer for Brindavanam. And that's when I understood there's so much potential in him to become a director. And then one fine day, he started off with this movie called Mirchi with Prabhas, which was a super duper hit.
Yes.
And then he went to do Srimantru, which was a super duper hit. Then he did Janata Garage, super hit. Then he did Bharatan Nenu, super hit. But what's so common in all the 4 movies he's done is that this guy carries a kind of a responsibility towards the society. You know, he wants to probably give something back to the society with his movies. So there is this underlying message, and sometimes and he's not too preachy. You know, when you want to give a message-oriented movie, as we call it, it tends to become very preachy.
Correct.
But he's just found this art of making this preachy movie into a very commercially viable, exciting, product. That's his trait. So when we collaborated for Devara, I just see in commercial mainstream film, you always have the protagonist, the hero as we call him, comes out for the downtrodden.
Correct.
People who do not have courage, gives them that courage and takes them forward. But this is such a flip where the protagonist comes from not the downtrodden, but comes from the most powerful and says, yaar, bhai, zyada courage bhi theek nahi hai. Thoda sa fear rehna chahiye humko. Fear is good. You need to have that. See, responsibility comes from fear.
Yes.
So I just love the way he brought this idea that, everybody should have a certain amount of fear. Yes, I believe in it. Ki agar zyada bhi courageous ho gaya na, sir, so there is no stopping humans.
As well.
Humans, we are humans. We are unstoppable. We need to have that kind of responsibility within us.
Yeah.
I just love the way he brought about this message, but with so much padded with a fictitious, over-the-top world. And that excited me. And I felt that, this is a movie I would like to do after RRR.
Yes.
Because after RRR, you need to have that kind of an excitement.
Correct.
At a plot level, it needs to excite you. And that's how We started off with Devara.
Devara.
And I don't know, we never thought that we're going to make this movie into 2 parts.